In late of September 2025, three countries in Africa decided to leave the International Criminal Court. The departure of these three countries actually sparked outrage, not really outrage, but people were shocked about why they decided to leave, or just the announcement of them leaving the International Criminal Court. I personally think this is a bold move and this is needed, especially for many African countries. We have consistently seen that African countries or leaders are easily brought to trial by the International Court of Justice or International Criminal Court, whereas criminals, leaders in the West and their allies are never brought to justice. So the bias of that itself is something that I find disgusting, and I think it's high time many African countries leave that organization. What does the withdrawal mean in practice, and who will fill the accountability gap of these states? Truly, leaders have the tendency of maltreating their citizens. I want accountability for all leaders. But what I don't want is bias. I do not want to see Gaddafi pulled out of the streets and shot and spit on by children, whereas there's someone else practically doing the worst, as we know. We can call the name of that country. And then the International Criminal Court is even unable to hold them accountable. Or we see countries like America went into the Middle East all in the name of weapons of mass destruction. And up to today, nobody has seen the weapon of mass destruction, and they have not been held accountable. So yes, that bias, I do not like it, and I practically will not support it. So if that's how the bias is, then African countries or countries of the global south need to depart from that organization. So what really happened, it's Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. They decided on September 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, they decided that no, they will not be part of the International Criminal Court. Now, they organized under their alliance of the Sahel states. They issued a joint decision saying they will withdraw from the Rome Statutes Treaty that's created for International Criminal Court, which is a useless organization, as I said. So the Sahel states accused the International Criminal Court of selective justice, which is something I just explained to you, and called it a tool of neo-colonial representation, which I 1,000,000% agree with them. Because if we have to bring war leaders to justice, I think the first thing we have to do is bring American and the West leaders to justice for the harm they have done in the Middle East and in Africa. We have to bring all of them to justice. If we can gladly do that, then yes, I will be like, oh, why are they leaving? But if we cannot do that, if we accept this bias, then each African country should leave. So now why they say the left and what their reasons is something that some people find outrageous, but I do not. The government framed the decision as a sovereign move. They say the ICC disproportionately targets African states, and the international justice has been applied selectively against poorer nations, while powerful countries escape from scrutiny. I brought the example of American presidents and the war they made in the Middle East. Bush went into the Middle East all in the name of weapons of mass destruction. To date, we haven't seen weapons of mass destruction. We haven't seen Bush being called to the International Criminal Court. The Obama regime went to Libya all in the name of chemical weapons. To date, we haven't seen any chemical weapons. We haven't seen anything. Trump, he's gone into other nations all in the name of national security, and we haven't seen anything. What we have seen is the Americans go in and terrorize and destabilize nations and kill billions and millions of people and go unaccounted for. And we have an International Criminal Court. What court is it? What justice are they doing? That's no justice if your justice is selective. If your justice is looking just at poorer nations, no. It should be international. What is it that you have to leave your sovereign country and go and inflict pain on another sovereign country and then they sit quiet? No. They all have to be held accountable for everything. I would like to see Bush in prison, Obama, Hillary Clinton in prison, Trump himself in prison, Biden in prison, everybody there. I want to see all of them in prison. Then yes, I'll be comfortable to say they should carry the president of one of the African nations which I find to be corrupt and put in prison. There should be equality and justice. Full equality and justice. That is what I would like to see. So withdrawing from the Roman Statutes Treaty takes effectively 12 months after notification, meaning that the ICC jurisdictions over criminal commitment before the dates remains. It means whatever criminal case that was going on in the Sahel region, they remain for the 12 months. And after that, then the states can fully depart from the International Criminal Court of Justice. So the tribunal can therefore continue investigations into alleged past crimes committed while the countries were members. So these countries have 12 months to fully depart. So there's the 12 waiting months. We'll see what will go on in the 12 waiting months. I know they will want to look for all ways to say they were criminals. I know these Western people. Even when they're falling, they want to grab onto something. So human rights groups are now claiming victims. International organizations and many states want that leaving the ICC will weaken accountability. Amnesty International says the move is dangerous step back. See, I really cannot be bothered by what Amnesty International says, because where they should have power to talk, they are unable to talk. We know about the genocide going on in Sudan, in Congo, and even in the other country, which we don't want to be banned for that. But where is their voice? They want to look at the Sahel. For all we know, the Sahel is way more stable than it had ever been. The International Court is going to form an alliance with ECOWAS, which is a puppet to the Western organizations, to try to bring out these nations. But we cannot also forget the fact that these nations are well equipped to defend themselves, and they have the backing of all African youths. So now, what about accountability? It's something that I really want. I want accountability. I want Burkina Faso and the Sahel states to have a clean slate. No one can come and say, oh, there's mass this, there's mass that going on this. So accountability is needed. So in practice, victims of alleged abuse have fewer international options. If a national court are unable or unwilling to investigate in some problems or in a conflict zone, then it's likely to see that, the courts might be biased and they might go to the International Criminal Court. But if the International Criminal Court on its own is biased, what does that say about the national courts in the region? So accountability is going to work out and serve in so many ways. We all know it's something that I want to think about it as maybe the use of technology to record crimes, if and any crimes are there. And I believe that the courts there will be fair because they are doing things for their people. So I believe they will be fair. Now, what are the security implications of leaving the International Criminal Court? I will personally say none. But then security experts want that withdrawal will stop violence in this region. And I don't know what the International Criminal Court has to do with the violence in the region, because if and only if there is violence in that region, we cannot trace the violence back to the International Criminal Court not properly doing its work to bring those who perpetrate this violence to justice. And I mean from its origin. I do not mean selectively. From its origin, terrorists in this region is fully backed by the West. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, whatever. These are all Western organizations that were created to destabilize places where they found rich in minerals and gold and wealth. They created all these organizations to fight their wars, and then they left them. So if the International Criminal Court is worried about security, they can start, in my opinion, by arresting all those who fund terrorists, all those who create terror organizations, especially those who fund them. And if they can do that, then yes, security is fully guaranteed in all the world. The thing is, most countries want just to do business and grow their economy and feed their people. Countries don't want to fight. Countries don't want to go to war. But if we look at it steadily, there is just the Western world that needs to prove power by fighting. I have never understood why that is. Why the thing by being China, it's coming in as a global country, as the superpower. Russia also. Yet we don't see China waging war in other countries. Why is it that the West finds that their power has to be felt by killing of people? I don't understand that. I will never understand it. The way they disvalue human lives, and even talking about it, the way they disvalue their own people's life is something that I've come to see and say, okay, you don't value the people which you're supposed to govern's life. I don't expect you to value my life, So there are three possible projections. The consolidation of alternative paths. The alliance might build up a regional national tribunal that will help them to fight their criminal justice, to fight crime in that way. These are three states that can create a tribunal that will help in fighting crime, especially in the hierarchies. The international criminal courts can continue imposing pressure, especially by the use of ECOWAS, which is a puppet to them. That is another alternative. And then we have another alternative about the geopolitical realignment. The Sahel states can deepen ties with alternative partners, including Russia, China, to reshape their security, to reshape their global economy, which will better improve security and better improve crime, reduce crime in that area. So in any situation, there are always alternatives that people can go to. And it is beautiful in this war that we see, and the war that is becoming a global geopolitical a war where no one country wants to be a dominant power except for Western countries. China is not trying to surpass the US, but the US for some reason feel pressure. Russia is just being there and doing business, and the US and the West feel pressure, and they're waging war left, right, center. Even we see the Taliban, which we all knew they had put it in order. The Taliban is a dictatorship. It's this. Do you even see the speeches that the Taliban are giving out right now? It makes way more sense than any other thing that any Western country has ever said in the past or even going to the future. This is just to say that, yeah, the Sahel, it's their sovereign right to leave that useless organization called the International Criminal Court of Justice, because it is biased, it is non-practical, it spits on the poor and shelters the rich, and we all know the rich are the most corrupt in the world. Yes, the most dangerous part is the 12 months waiting period, which I know they will want to do their best to destabilize that region. But alliances with other countries, with other nations, and also with countries like Russia, China, is going to be the backbone of this nation's security. And I pray Pan-Africanism actually gets into ECOWAS, and ECOWAS can realize that depending on the West has never helped any African country. The West has been seen to shoot their enemies more than to shoot their friends way more than their enemies. If you don't believe me, look at what is going on with India. Oh, India is a perfect example. Just look at what is going on with them, and then you come back and we have a conversation. Yes, I support the Sahel states leaving the International Criminal Court of Justice. And just for reference, not all African nations are part of the International Criminal Court of Justice. 33 African nations are part of the International Criminal Court, while the rest of the out of the 54, 33 are part of it, and the rest do not see the value of these nations, which of the value of this organization, which is a good thing. So we wait and see how the next 12 months are going to look like, and I pray for peace and stability in that region of the world. Please, if you like my channel, subscribe, like, keep a comment. I like to interact with you guys, and thank you.